Thank you so much. Good evening to Mr. President. Good evening to you, the moderator, and the distinguished fellow panelists. And firstly, let me take this opportunity to thank the leadership, for this campaign, and I fully endorse it. Racism has been a problem in our society, and it's still a problem, and we've witnessed it recently. And I've also experienced racism when I was playing in Europe, and there were times where I could not even get an opportunity to play, not because of my ability, but because of the color of my skin. I was undermined. And at times when things were going well, I would be called a king. But when things don't go well, then I'd be, called the N-word. And, I think it's a system. It's a system, that was mastered in theory and well executed practically. And it's a system that, favors the minority and undermines the majority. Henceforth, the system needs to change, and racism has became a norm in South Africa, such to a level whereby now we're comfortable with it. And that is wrong. We need to take a stand. That needs to change as well. There were so many dreams that were shattered because of racism, because of the opportunities. All lives were lost because of racism. If we can teach people to hate the other race, they can also be taught not to hate as well. So this is an opportunity for us, to stand together and fight racism and not allow this to go on. Mr. President, your generation, they were victims of racism, and the generation after you was also victims of the racism. We are also the victims of racism. So it's important to put an end to this so that, the future generation, they are free from this. They have equal opportunities. There's a lot of racism that is going on workplaces that, people are afraid to speak up because there's no support. They know that they'll not get support from our government. Let's support one another. Let's change and let's fight this as well. Sport is very big. Sport unites people. So is arts. This is an opportunity for us to drive this campaign, to fight this, to be the voice of this, and to change this as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Kubi, the President, the leader of the Indian National Congress, Comrade Blade, Losi, and other speakers. The Women's League, as well as progressive women's organizations and grassroots organizations, have agreed that we believe in human dignity. We believe in equality. We also believe in justice. And this, we also believe in human solidarity. And the support for human solidarity comes from the support we received from other countries that believed in our story of the struggle for liberation, that believed in human rights, and supported us against apartheid. And even the UN has declared apartheid a crime against humanity. We stand against racism in our country. We fully stand by the campaign launched by the ANC and its alliance partners. And together with the ANC led by President Ramaphosa, we fully support Comrade Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma and call upon the women of our country not to tolerate racism as well as patriarchy, because it has been rearing its head and it is very strong. And we've seen racism and patriarchy during the lockdown. The way women ministers and leaders have been treated shows that we are a society that has a lot of work to do. But also we believe brutality by white against black is similar and is similar to brutality by black against white. And we condemn this with the contempt it deserves. We stand against racism in our country. We support the Khoza family, but also I'm touched by what the president has said to the nation, his disappointment and accepting that the police and the army have committed brutality in many families. We also stand against racism in Africa and the world over. In America, which is also accompanied by bullying tactics. And as peace-loving South African women, we condemn police brutality meted against George Floyd. Our hearts are with the women of America and as well as South Africa that have continuously lost their children in the hands of the police, and police are part of the state institutions. We call for the demilitarization of police and army. We call upon countries to use UN guidelines and other instruments that are used in countries where there is war. And governments must recommit to the protection of human rights and dignity for their citizens, because government is government of the people, by the people, for the people. Thank you very much, Phoebe.
Okay, why don't I take the one about fun? No, that's me. Well, thank you very much, Phoebe. Let me immediately just express my gratitude to all the panelists. You've put together an incredible team of panelists who've really enriched this debate. Each one of those colleagues who spoke has come from a different angle and have made this a real great launch of this campaign. So I really appreciate that. The one question about white farmers being killed, yes, I didn't mention it in the input. It is a matter that continues to concern us. Concern us because we are a non-racial society, and no one amongst us has any right whatsoever to kill anyone for whatever reason. And the killing of white farmers, we are hugely and completely opposed to, and we will make sure that we follow this up and ensure that those who perpetrate that type of activity against white farmers, which is born out of even hatred, are brought to book. So we condemn it in the strongest terms as well. Just as we condemn the killing of George Floyd in the United States, and what has ensued following that is just a global movement against racism. And similarly, I'm glad that it is going to continue even in our own country, where many of South Africans will stand up and say we no longer want to see any racist activity, any racist attitudes in our country. And I hope and trust it will be generated. And very briefly, I agree with you that we need to during this Black Friday campaign, talk about the role of security forces. It is important. And Megan makes a very powerful point about the security forces being the types of people, and it's actually even wrong to call them a force, because we have depicted them as a service. And as we became a democracy, we said we want to move away from SAP being a force, being a service. And that the training that must happen on human rights, on how to handle people, crowds, and so forth. And I referred, Megan, to the way that I sent them out when we launched the lockdown. And I said, you're going out amongst our people, treat them with respect, with humanity, and do not ever feel provoked by them. And because they are human beings, there will be acts of provocation, but whatever provocation is not enough to take somebody's life. And that is why I deeply regret the killing of Collins Khoza and others. It should never have happened. And we really have no leg to stand on, even as we may argue that they were provoked. No provocation whatsoever can ever be enough for the life of a human being to be taken in the way that that happened. And in the end, the role of cultural workers and sports people, they are our ears, they are our mouthpieces, they are indeed also our intellect. They are the ones who interpret the psyche of society, and they are the ones in the end who we beam out messages to our people through. They are, in the end, the true soothsayers of the nation. They are the ones who tell us about our identity, about our being, about our suffering, and also about our future. And we therefore, sports people, cultural workers, and the creative industry, we need now, particularly as we move from COVID-19, Yvonne, we want the creative industry to be one of the sectors that we are going to make an investment in. The sporting sector, the creative arts, they must be seen as a sector as we transform our economy, a sector in which we will invest money, and that is going to generate good returns for our country. So I'm all on the side of the creative industry. I wish I had been an actor. Maybe life would have been easier. None. Congress, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Phoebe.
Thank you, Phoebe.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, President and everyone. Auntie Siabong.
Oh, thank you, Mshana.
Yes, Auntie. Angisakwazi. Bye-bye. Same to you. And keep on keeping safe.
Thank you, Auntie Phoebe. Thanks so much for inviting me. Appreciate it. Bye.